The year is 2079. Humanity as a whole has progressed into the space age, finally reaching and colonizing the solar system. However, due to a cataclysmic event, the Earth has been effectively cut off from the entire galaxy, leaving those left in the dredges of space to fend for themselves. In this time, the landscape has changed drastically, with new states and supercorporations taking place in the power vacuum. The colonies and stations that have not failed are rife with corruption and criminal activity. Not only that, but deep within the system, unexplained phenomena are being reported and becoming more and more commonplace. This is the universe of Ostranauts, and you are a nobody. In particular, you are a shipbreaker, a scavenger flying the equivalent of a metal coffin in space, who steals and harvests rare ship parts for profit. Life wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the occupational hazards and minimal pay that comes with the job. You will also be battling crippling debt and mortgages, managing life support systems that could stop at any minute, not to mention you have to fend off space pirates, corrupt police, and godless existential horrors hidden within the vacuum of space. It's not a good life at all, actually, but if you play your cards right, you might have a shot of escaping this abject life of poverty. All it takes is a bit of luck, some technical skill, the right connections, and a whole lot of money. So join me today as I explore this game and the entire universe with it, starting off as a lowly shipbreaker and hopefully making a real name for myself in this unforgiving universe. I hope you enjoy. The Ayatamiwa Medtech takes a glance at your chart, then at your body, then back at your chart. Immunosuppressed, low bone density, hypovolemic, standard condition of a young spacer on K-Leg Station, born and raised as you were in the weak microgravity of a 33-kilometer asteroid. Doc says it's the insomnia catching up with you. It's chronic around here, something likely caused by radiation and lack of sunlight. Your eyes work well enough for now, but they're still bad and they're getting worse. 18 years old and rapidly approaching middle age, your muscles are feeble by Mars standards. They wouldn't stand a chance on Earth. No shit, you say. You're no Earther, and you never will be. A heart monitor beeps and then beeps again. The board tech scribbles a few notes and grants your work permissions. Healthy enough to strip holes in the boneyard despite everything. Fine with you, closer to the ships after all, and you're going to get one. Anyways everyone, welcome to Ostranauts, and right now we need to make ourselves a character. Starting out at the age of 18, we have our life ahead of us, and if we were to step outside right now, we would have nothing. So, in order to better survive the circumstances we're going to be put in, we're going to be working on our skills, building up our character, and creating a more suitable person for the job at hand. We can do this in a matter of ways. We can work on our skills directly, we can work on traits that are not the best for us, and finally, we can seek adventure, which is basically like a RNG chance of getting whatever skills and traits come your way. We could also just lay low and save some money, but that takes a lot of time, and finally we could seek a ship. Right now, I don't feel confident, so what we're going to be doing is seeking adventure and seeing where life takes us. Though actually, before we do that, there is one trait that I would like to remove right now. As you see, we have a lot of bad traits, namely being fragile, immunosuppressed, feeble, an insomniac, unfit, and visually impaired. Now, a lot of these can go away in due time, but the one that's going to affect us the most right now is being micro-G hypovolemic. I won't get into the specifics, but I will say taking this out right now will be well worth the 1 year. And now that that's done, we can finally seek adventure. Let's see where life takes us. And of course, it's right into gambling. As much as I would love to cheat or grab the key, right now we don't have much going for us, so we're gonna fold and see what comes up next. We have the daily grind, which basically means what we're getting up to while we're bored. We have a whole myriad of options right now, and each of them leads to certain skills. So if I were to pick hacking right now, we would get hacking as a skill. The same thing goes for Fight Club, getting a job as an electrician, and suit maintenance. The ones I really care about right now are suit maintenance, hacking, and Fight Club. And you know what? Nelson Bernard here seems to be a pretty tough cookie. Let's go Fight Club. This whole experience makes us skilled in unarmed melee combat, makes us more courageous, but it also made us a masochist. Overall, pretty good. Not to mention we got ourselves a law enforcement friend, which might come in handy later. Let's continue searching for more adventures. It seems like there's a crackdown going on. Outside of the door and up the access corridor, you hear the clatter of mag boots marching in double time. A half dozen of your neighbors flee through the back door. Moments later, you hear a series of sharp cracks and screams. Shocker rounds, you hope. You've got a moment to act. What do? Now, we could absolutely try and be a hero right now, but I think instead of doing that, we are going to fake a pressure alarm to avoid any real danger, as we trick the security system of the ship into thinking there's a vacuum breach, which makes all of the bulkheads close, trapping them inside. After that, we can slip away very easily, making us smarter than the average person and also skilled in hacking. Very nice. Sadly, we are still poor, but the good thing is that we can make some money once we're in the game. Up next, we have a shady deal, in which we're approached by a coworker who has a less than legal method for making cash on the side. If we want to profit from the scheme, there's going to be some risks. We could work with the police, or we could just backstab our coworker. And in order to set up the best possible future for our character, we're gonna be a rat, gathering intel for the cops, because there is a good chance we get pulled over, and the person that pulls us over might be our friend, which means we might be able to get away with a very lenient sentence. And would you look at that, we got ourselves a new law enforcement officer friend. The next year has another opportunity for us, as the barge we're working on is so overloaded that we might be able to steal some cargo without anyone noticing. Now, we could lick the boots of Ayatamiwa, but the corporation doesn't care about us, so instead what we're going to be doing is hacking the lock with our already set skill, in which we pull it off perfectly. So far, our skill set should be looking good. Now, I will say we should start to look for a ship very soon, but I do want to do 2 more adventures to see if I can get EVA suit operations, which will help me out very quickly. Okay, we don't have that, but we did meet a manager, and we can hack them for their money. Let's try it. After a very close encounter and our PDA almost frying, we actually pulled it off, netting me $3,000. And finally, we can seek adventure for the last time. Of course, it's an occupational hazard. This is actually a blessing in disguise. Midway through scrapping yet another hulk, the cockpit of your allotted salvage pod lights up with red telltales. Suddenly, you're under thrust as one of the engines sends you spiraling away from the hulk orbit into the black. It's unresponsive, and nobody has the fuel to come save you. You're expendable. If you want to live, it's up to you. We could hack the engine, but we already have hacking skills. We could jury-rig it, which would, I think, net me mechanical engineering, which is very nice. We could troubleshoot it, which would work off our intelligence, but instead, so we can be an actual good pilot, we're gonna be taking the stick, which makes us skilled in piloting spacecraft and operating and maintaining an environmental suit. This is pretty good. We're still at the age of 25, which means we aren't middle-aged yet, which is very nice, because if we were to age up a few more, we would start to get health problems. Now, I will say, our traits really aren't the best right now, but I will take it. $3,850 to my name. This is a perfect time to seek our own ship. And it looks like we found one. You happen across a seller trying to offload a Tetsudo Dream. It's a small shuttlecraft used to ferry passengers in local space. It's not pretty, but it has life support, thrusters, and even a few jump seats if you have friends you don't like so well. Might just be what you need to escape the daily grind as a shipbreaker. Ojiso's register has given this vessel an OSR of moderate, indicating it's legal for sale, but it does not possess ship systems beyond basic travel and life support. This is actually a really good ship, namely because of the storage space. Normally you would get a small little coffin, and even though this one does have a, oh god, high mortgage of $862,000, in which we're gonna need to pay in installments of $2,300 per shift, which is like 4 hours, it's very nice. And what's funny is that this is one of the better starting ships, so we're gonna take it and see where life takes us. Now that you're on your own terms, your next move is up to you. Maybe score a valuable part or two for resale or reuse, pull down a platinum to your payout on a gig, or maybe even discover a ship discarded before its time. Whatever the case, it beats sweating in a suit all day for someone else's profit. Time to get out there and find your future. And with that, we are finally past the character creation. I will say we are unfit, feeble, and fragile, so we're probably not going to get in too many fights. But we are brave, a genius, a leader, and ambitious. And really, that's all you need. Okay, I'm lying. We need a lot more things, but hopefully we'll get that with a few lucky turns. We're gonna turn on the lights inside of this place, and we are going to acquaint ourselves with the area. The best way I describe this game's gameplay is a mix of Space Station 13 and RimWorld. It's got a pretty high learning curve, but this game has gotten me gripped for a while, so I do know the basics. And right now, we should probably pick up our clothing. Putting on the yellow coveralls and shoes. You can really tell that the overalls are well loved with the amount of burn marks on them. Inside this rack here, we should also find our pressure suit, which is going to be the most important tool we have right now, and our tote bag. Not only that, but we have ourselves a toolbox filled with the bare essentials, a screwdriver, a hacksaw, and a soldering iron. Finally, within the fridge, we have ourselves a drink pouch. Could be useful on the way. With that, we have everything we need, and now it's time to walk outside. The door to Kalig Station slides open, and you're greeted by the familiar aroma of station vendor fare. Spot prawn, stir-fry and suya, curry, kebab of chicken and ayaji, spice rub, Szechuan beef with pink peppercorn. Your head knows the meat is aquaponic or lab-grown or worse, but your heart tells you that anything prepared by human hands is better than Trencher's chow. Tired-looking spacers circulate between the bunks, the refuel kiosk, and the breaker yard, moving in and out of the gossamer haze of cigarette smoke that is a permanent fixture on the station. The smokes are Sungara Viceroys, the breaker brand of choice. Folks here will chain smoke them unfiltered, no matter how many times Iotomiwa execs find them for overworking the CO2 scrubbers. Your new ship is waiting in port, not far from the kiosk hub and scrap shops. Once you find it, you can finally undock from this rock. If you want to strip ships for salvage, all you need are the hand tools you own, but you'll need a welder to start remodeling and repairing hulls. Either way, if you're lucky, you can finally start making a living, something beyond the corporate-sponsored rat race of breaking ships for daily wage, a life you can call your own. Now I will say, despite it being a life of my own, it's not going to be a good life for quite a while, because we only have $3,850. And the way you're supposed to do things legally is you're supposed to buy a scrapping permit in order to actually salvage the derelicts nearby. Which, if we look over at the kiosk right now, costs $5,000. Which means old Nelson here is gonna have to do some shady business practices in order to make that money. Now, we could immediately go to the nearest wreck, say screw it to the police, and start salvaging, but the chances we get pulled over are pretty high. On the contrary, we could head over towards the Nexus job kiosk, and there we should be able to get a few jobs like courier missions in order to make our first few thousand legally, and finally... Actually, the more I think about it, that's it. Yeah, not exactly the best start, but we can go check out our ship in the meantime. And might I say, it is a piece of work. It's pretty large though, and we could potentially sell these passenger seats. You know what? That might be a good idea. Okay, Nelson doesn't have friends, so we could potentially sell these for profit. The only question, though, is if the scrap kiosk is interested in buying my junk. So let's give our character the order to uninstall it and see where it goes. Thankfully, we do have basic life support systems, so we won't be dying of hypoxia just yet. It is, however, going to take a lot of time. Thankfully, time is all we have right now. Okay, we got our seat. Let's go see if the kiosk is interested in it. Okay, bad news everyone, they don't care. Well, at least we tried. I'm just gonna leave the seat here, you know, someone else can take that, and we are gonna be looking at the gig kiosk instead. Looking at our gigs, we have some basic courier missions, a honeypot in which we could try and seduce someone, security recon, which is currently 1.22 AU away. Yeah, that's never gonna happen with our ship. Another honeypot, another recon. Okay, these jobs are pretty terrible, so you know what? Screw the legal way. We're gonna do a couple of illegal maneuvers. Now, obviously, I won't be able to sell off the parts I scrap here at the kiosk, but if we head over towards our ship, we can hop on our navigation console and start our journey over towards a not-so-good station. What I'm trying to say is that we can head over 1,500 kilometers away to sell our parts at a pirate den, the Flotilla. Will the prices here be good? Probably not. Can I refuel here? Yes, I can, but most importantly, we will probably get stabbed here. But it's the best chance we have. Of course, we can't go there empty-handed as we won't have anything to sell. Instead, what we're probably gonna have to do is pick a very offshore derelict, and we are gonna stealth scrap it. And right now, this one to the far north is really catching my eye, especially because if we don't get anything good there, we can stop by that one down over yonder. I don't see any police ships nearby, just more scrappers, so I think we'll be fine. Yeah, that's gonna be the plan. Also, you can notice that there's a lot of controls here that are, yeah. But that's also exactly why I love the game, because of how immersive the controls are. Our ship is currently called the Telic Iconoclast, and hopefully it'll last the full journey over. Okay, I don't think we need anything else here. Actually, no, there is a couple of things I want. And that is going to be a backpack for better storage, a couple of Holden patches just in case something hits our ship, and finally a crowbar for prying open crates and smashing in skulls. Costing me $500, man. The economy is terrible in this game, but what's a story without a little bit of struggle, right? Let's go put in our stuff and let's get a move on. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we won't have to pay it right now because we are already on the ship, but every time you dock at the station, you need to pay docking fees, which is around $500. So yeah, if that wasn't bad, it gets worse. Not to mention the crippling amounts of debt we're already in. Let's stop crying about our finances though, and let's make some money. First things first though, I'm gonna drop off our clothing right off in this corner here, and I'm gonna pop on my pressure suit. Finally equipping my crowbar, and dropping off the tote for extra storage. Let's blow this popsicle stand finally. In order to do that though, we're gonna need clearance, so we are going to go on our local channel, we're gonna open the channel to K-Leg, talk to K-Leg, and request undocking clearance, leading us to the docking screen. I'm not going to worry about this for now, but I will say it is pretty stressful. Instead, what we're going to do is declamp, push off, and now that we are undocked, the proximity warning is going off. In order to make the drive as smooth as possible, we're going to go mute that. Yeah, we don't really need it. Safety measures, they're for chumps, alright? Now you can see our ship is slowly pushing out to the back, so we're going to activate our rear thrusters, getting even more distance away from K-Leg. Now that we are a distance away, I'm going to reposition my ship to go to the north and go off to the side. Speeding up time and slowly coasting on through, turning back our alarm. Okay, now that we are away from the asteroid, we just gotta kick it into maximum overdrive to the north. Just like that. We're currently going about 300 meters a second, so in due time we should reach it. And while that's going on, we can actually go and do some basic maintenance around the area, repairing holes and components alike. It's actually one of the things I really enjoy about this game, because there is a lot of downtime between space travel, so you can actually be pretty productive while waiting for the next area. This is gonna go on for quite a bit though, so I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, pause the game. I know I said I was gonna go for the derelict out here, but I do see one that's pretty close by that we might be able to just take a little peek at. It's this one right over here. It's currently 60 kilometers away, and it can range from anything from a little drone to a cargo ship, so I would like to, take a little detour and go check it out. And once we're about 5 kilometers in, our alarm is going to proc off. We're going to switch over to the communication channel, pop open the question mark that is closest to us, and we are going to initiate uncontrolled docking procedures. Obviously, because there's no one there, they're going to allow us, and we can go line up the docking ports. By the way, if you go into this too hot, you will crash, burn, and possibly break all of your ribs and die. So I do recommend only going into these docking procedures in under 100 meters a second. We're going in a little bit hot, but we should be able to clamp in pretty nicely. One step at a time. Once it's green, we can hit the big button. Boom. Just like that, the clamps on our docking ring engage and our hull resonates like a struck gong. While your sensors scan the vessel for data, you close your eyes and imagine the fortune that could await you on the other side. Perhaps you found a racing skiff, a nimble vessel with a lightweight hull pushed around by a top-of-the-line RCS package, and a 4-can Miura Hydra intake regulator. Or maybe you've stumbled across a multi-cabin pleasure yacht, an elite catamaran complete with a full bar and corridors adorned with yards of crimson and cream Van Hummel interiors. Or maybe it's just a dead freighter, a decades-old Tetsudo hauler packed with trash and sporting a giant hole where the reactor used to be. This is a junkyard after all. Okay, it looks to be a pretty big ship. There's a lot of debris around the area, so we are gonna take it really slow. Obviously, if I headed outside right now, my head would explode from the pressure and we would die in seconds, so that's why we have our pressure suit. By the way, if you're curious about how this thing works, it's basically the equivalent of grabbing a bag, filling it with air, and then diving underwater, and then using that bag air as your oxygen supply. It's not the best, but it'll do, and it'll give us around 2 minutes of oxygen. So we're gonna pop it on, take our flashlight out, toggle it with power, and check out the freighter. Already, it's incredibly dark, and before I start looting, we will be sweeping the whole area to make sure there's no terrifying monstrosities or pirates aboard. So far, we have ourselves a bathroom down over here. Up ahead over here, we have more trash, a couple of crates, and a decent condition RCS thruster that could net us around $2,000 on the market. Up over here, we have a couple more bins, more crates, an EVA battery. That's really damn nice. It also looks like we have found the remnants of the engine room with a few racks, the remains of the reactor, and finally we have some nitrogen canisters. These are used as fuel for our thrusters, and some of these are actually pretty full. So instead of paying fees for refueling, I'm probably gonna steal a couple of these and just use those instead. Let's start this off by looting some of the bins nearby, then we can work on scrapping the actual parts. I'm very much eyeing up the capacitors. That's gonna sell for some money. If it wasn't damaged, never mind. We're gonna be going for the RCS thrusters instead. So what do we got? We have a stir welder, very nice, no batteries. Over here we have more junk, mechanical parts, which could be useful later. Some electronic parts, mechanical parts, the EVA battery on the floor, a crate with a fire extinguisher inside, a navigation console manual, and another tote. Already, we are experiencing high levels of carbon monoxide, so we are going to head back to our ship to refuel in air and check out the other areas. So far, I gotta say, this trip is going pretty good. Let's see what else we can grab. There's a damaged EVA helmet, more batteries, a Holden patch, some over-the-counter medication, filled with a few miscellaneous pills, a medical injector for G-strain. That would go for around $2,000. Huge haul, scrap cloth. Over here, we have a locked crate, which I was able to pry open with the crowbar. Boasting me a lot of goodies. A whole bunch of bags, which is actually really nice. Another stir welder, which is mint condition with a full battery. Not to mention 3 extra totes and bags. Those are going to be extremely nice because we can stack so many items in them. So if I were to put away my crowbar right now, dropping it off right where my old seat used to be. Boom. Actually, I'm probably going to do that with the seats later, but I might be able to sell them later. Okay, let's finally see what else we have. Actually, that's going to be it. Okay, with that, we are going to steal the turbo air pumps, the RCS thrusters, and I think that's going to be it. Other than that, we might steal a nitrogen canister because they are filled with quite a few supplies. Yeah, sounds good to me. Let's get looting. Oh, hold on here. We actually do have something. We have a data card and an EVA battery. Both of those, very nice. I'll check them out later. Okay, let's start scrapping the thrusters. Starting with the nitrogen canister, which is going to be the quickest to uninstall. Then moving on to the turbo air pumps. Stacking them inside our general storage area right now. Also, I forgot something very important. We need to turn off our tag. I just realized we have our transponder going right now, which means if any law enforcement drives past me, they will see my name, they can check my registration, and they will see I currently don't have a license. So to avoid that, we're just gonna do something extremely illegal and, boop! Okay, we are off the grid now. Also, funny enough, the ship that we are looting right now is called Lord Have Mercy. I hope that... No, they're all dead. They all died. Okay, let's go move on towards the thrusters now. Alrighty, that's gonna be everything of value inside of this ship. Not the best, but definitely not the worst. Just in time too, by the way, because our CO2 levels are climbing pretty high right now. Okay, let's go drag this bad boy back, and we will see our haul. Overall, we got 2 turbo pumps and an RCS thruster. They're not in the best condition, but we can fix them up with our tools to sell them for a higher price. I would say the amount we have right now is probably around the $5,000 to $6,000 range. Pretty good, but when you account in fuel costs as well, it's not the best. So we are going to head over towards another derelict before I head over towards the flotilla. We are going to undock, and we're going to move our way over to the next area. Also turning on our transponder, that's very important as well. We're good. Okay, that's gonna be the alarm. Let's go push this bad boy back now. We're coming in a little bit hot, not gonna lie, but we should be able to correct our course over. Okay, beautiful. We are moving in quick. We will bump down our speed to 30 meters a second, initiate the docking procedure, and we should be on goal. Yeah, we are. We're good. Okay. And you guys get to hear how annoying it is to dock with the alarm going off. And might I say, it adds on so much stress when you're approaching this docking vessel with how frequently it beeps. But I guess it keeps you on edge, right? Alright, just a little bit more, and we should be good to dock. Right about now. Boom, we're connected. Now it's time to see what we actually found. A pretty small ship in all regards, but there are a couple of batteries that I see, and we can give it a bit closer of a look. My guess is that it's another hauler like the one we have. Oh, hold on here. This bad boy's looking really nice. Sadly, the reactor is gone, but that right there is an ablative core liner in perfect condition. We can sell that for some real profit. Sadly, we don't have any good regulators, but we do have an extra battery, which I will steal. More power, better. And finally, we have some bins here. What do we got? We have some loose flooring, an oxygen bottle, some batteries, and another temporary blister seal kit. Okay, the items itself aren't really the, be-all, end-all, but I will say with all of these parts, we will have ourselves quite the profit. But I'm gonna save that for next time. Oh, dude, there's even 4 thrusters on this thing. Okay, no, we're gonna make some big money. Oh, it's all not in damaged condition as well. Yeah, okay, life is looking really good for old Nelson right now. Even though we are gonna be dealing with pirates, we should leave with a pretty big penny. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end it here. We got our taste of ship maneuvering, docking, looting, the whole 9 yards. The only thing we're missing is conflict. But speaking about that, let's turn off that transponder. Bink. Okay, we're good. Anyways, if you guys have liked this episode, I would love to make this a series in the future. Be sure to like, favorite, share, and subscribe for more. I will see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.